The Los Angeles Lakers are sitting in second place in the Western Conference right now, and while that's impressive on its own, there's something much bigger developing behind the scenes that could transform this franchise from a playoff contender into an absolute juggernaut capable of dominating the NBA for years to come. I'm talking about conversations that have been happening, inquiries that have been made, and alignments between player desires and organizational ambitions that rarely come together this perfectly. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, your home for breaking news, in-depth analysis, and the real discussion shaping the future of our beloved Lakers. I'm bringing you daily updates on roster moves, trade possibilities, and strategic decisions that impact our championship pursuit. And today we're diving into something that has the potential to completely redefine what this team can accomplish this season and beyond. Let me set the foundation by walking you through where we currently stand as a franchise. The Lakers just secured a thrilling 112-108 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers, pushing our record to an impressive 17-6 on the season. We've won 9 of our last 11 games, demonstrating the kind of consistency and execution that championship teams display during the grind of an NBA season. The offense has been clicking on multiple levels, our defensive intensity has improved significantly, and the chemistry between our core players is developing exactly how the coaching staff envisioned when they constructed this roster. Our big three has been absolutely phenomenal, giving us 3 legitimate offensive threats that opposing defenses simply cannot account for simultaneously. Austin Reaves has evolved into a bona fide all-star caliber player, averaging career highs across the board and showing the kind of two-way impact that makes him one of the most valuable young players in the entire league. His ability to create his own shot, facilitate for others, and hit clutch baskets in critical moments has been instrumental to our success. Reaves isn't just a role player anymore, he's a centerpiece, and that distinction matters enormously when we talk about trade assets and roster construction. LeBron James continues to defy Father Time in ways that seem almost supernatural at this stage of his career. At his age, most players are declining rapidly or transitioning into reduced roles, but LeBron remains an elite two-way force who can still dominate games when necessary. His basketball IQ, his leadership, his ability to elevate teammates, all of it remains at the highest level. Having LeBron on your roster means you have a legitimate chance to compete for championships, period. That window won't last forever. But right now, this season, LeBron is still operating at a level that demands respect from every team in the league. Then, there's Luka Doncic, the player we acquired back in February in a move that sent shockwaves throughout the NBA. Luka has seamlessly integrated into our offensive system, forming incredible chemistry with LeBron and creating a dynamic where defenses are constantly in impossible situations. The pick-and-roll combinations, the transition opportunities, the ability to have elite playmaking from multiple positions simultaneously, it's been everything we hoped for when we made that blockbuster acquisition. Luka wanted to be in Los Angeles. He wanted to compete for championships, and so far the partnership has exceeded expectations. Since bringing Luka to Los Angeles, the Lakers organization has demonstrated a clear commitment to building around him for the long term. The signings of Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton in free agency weren't random moves. They were strategic additions, specifically designed to complement Luka's skill set on both ends of the floor. Smart brings defensive intensity, playmaking, and championship experience, while Ayton provides rim protection, rebounding, and vertical spacing that opens up driving lanes for our perimeter players. These moves signal that the Lakers are serious about maximizing this championship window and giving their stars the supporting cast needed to compete at the highest level. But here's where things get really interesting, and I need you to stay with me because what I'm about to share connects multiple threads that have been developing over recent months. Despite our current success, despite sitting in second place in the Western Conference, despite having a legitimate Big Three that can compete with anyone, there's a recognition within the organization that we're still one piece away from being truly unstoppable. One more elite player, one more superstar-level talent who can tip the scales definitively in our favor and make us the overwhelming championship favorites. That's not a criticism of our current roster. It's simply an acknowledgement that in today's NBA, you need overwhelming talent concentration to win championships consistently. The Milwaukee Bucks are struggling this season in ways that few people anticipated. Their roster construction has been questioned, their coaching decisions have been criticized, and most importantly, their best player appears increasingly frustrated with the direction of the franchise. When a player of that caliber becomes available, when a two-time MVP and NBA champion might be willing to consider a change of scenery, every contending team in the league starts evaluating whether they can make a competitive offer. The Lakers are absolutely one of those teams, and the connections run deeper than most people realize. Several months ago, information started circulating through league sources that this particular superstar was interested in exploring his options, that he wanted to be in a situation where he could legitimately compete for championships rather than watching his prime years slip away on a team trending in the wrong direction. His first preference was reportedly New York, specifically the Knicks, where he could play in the biggest media market and pair with existing talent to form an instant contender. Those discussions apparently reached serious stages, with Milwaukee willing to listen to offers and evaluate what kind of package they could receive in return. The Knicks, however, couldn't put together a proposal that satisfied Milwaukee's requirements. They weren't willing to include certain players that the Bucks deemed essential to any deal, and specifically, they wouldn't move beyond offering Karl Anthony Towns as the centerpiece of a package. That wasn't enough for Milwaukee, not nearly enough to justify trading away a player of this magnitude, and those discussions eventually stalled. But here's what matters for Lakers fans. Once those New York talks broke down, other teams started positioning themselves to potentially make offers, and Los Angeles was absolutely one of those organizations. According to multiple league sources, the Lakers inquired about the possibility of working out a deal. They explored what it would take to bring the superstar to Los Angeles, what assets Milwaukee would require, and whether there was a realistic path to making such a monumental transaction happen. But it goes even deeper than just organizational interest. Luka Doncic himself reached out, trying to gauge whether the Lakers could actually pull off acquiring this player to join the existing core. Think about that for a moment. Your franchise player is so bought into winning championships in Los Angeles that he's actively recruiting and trying to facilitate moves that would make this team unstoppable. The player in question wants to leave Milwaukee because he wants to win championships, plain and simple. He's accomplished individual accolades, he's proven himself as one of the absolute best players in the world, and now he wants to be part of a situation where he can legitimately compete for titles year after year. Los Angeles represents exactly that kind of opportunity. The market, the legacy, the supporting cast, the coaching, all of it aligns with what a championship-caliber player would be looking for in his next destination. I'm talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the possibility of him wearing purple and gold is far more realistic than most people want to admit. Everything I've described, the Milwaukee struggles, Giannis's reported frustration, the failed New York discussions, the Lakers' inquiries, Luka's personal recruitment efforts, all of it has been confirmed through league sources with direct knowledge of these conversations. This isn't speculation based on wishful thinking. This is reporting based on actual developments that have occurred over recent months. Now let's break down why this makes so much sense from multiple perspectives. From Giannis's standpoint, joining the Lakers would instantly vault him into championship favorite status. Playing alongside LeBron and Luka would create the kind of superstar trio that the league hasn't seen since the peak Warriors dynasty. His ability to dominate in the paint, protect the rim defensively, and run the floor in transition would complement perfectly with Luka's playmaking and LeBron's all-around brilliance. Offensively, defenses would have no answer for that combination of size, skill, and basketball IQ. The defensive side is where things get truly terrifying for opponents. Giannis is one of the best defensive players in the league, capable of guarding multiple positions, protecting the rim, and creating chaos in passing lanes. Paired with Marcus Smart's perimeter defense and DeAndre Ayton's interior presence, you're looking at a defensive unit that could legitimately hold teams to historically low-scoring outputs. In playoff basketball, where games slow down and defense becomes paramount, having that level of two-way talent is the difference between winning championships and falling short. From the Lakers' organizational perspective, making this move would represent the kind of bold, aggressive roster construction that has defined our championship history. This franchise has never been afraid to make blockbuster trades, to consolidate assets into superstar talent, to go all in when championship windows present themselves. Trading for Giannis would be entirely consistent with how the Lakers have operated historically, and it would send a clear message to the rest of the league that Los Angeles is committed to winning championships by any means necessary. The financial logistics are complicated, but not impossible. Giannis is under contract through the 2026-27 season, with a player option for 2027-28, meaning any team trading for him would have multiple years of team control. His salary is significant but manageable within the Lakers' cap structure, especially considering the bird rights and various mechanisms available under the collective bargaining agreement. The Bucks would want substantial return, likely including multiple first-round picks and a young, all-star caliber player to build around moving forward. Here's where the discussion becomes difficult for Lakers fans. Milwaukee would almost certainly demand Austin Reaves as the centerpiece of any deal. Reaves represents exactly what rebuilding teams covet, a young player with all-star potential who's on a reasonable contract and has shown the ability to perform at the highest levels. Giving up Reaves would be painful because we've watched him develop into a star in our system. We've seen his clutch performances, and we understand how valuable he is to our current success. But when you're talking about acquiring Giannis Antetokounmpo, you have to be willing to make difficult sacrifices. The question becomes whether trading a future all-star for a current two-time MVP and champion makes sense strategically. From a pure talent evaluation standpoint, Giannis is the better player right now and will be for the next several years. He's a once-in-a-generation type athlete who's already proven he can be the best player on a championship team. Reaves has incredible potential, but he hasn't reached that level yet, and there's no guarantee he ever will. Championships are won by consolidating talent at the top end of the roster, and acquiring Giannis would give the Lakers arguably the three best players in any playoff series they play. The supporting cast would obviously change with Reaves departing, but the Lakers would still have enough pieces to fill out a championship-caliber rotation. Players like Smart, Ayton, and various minimum contract veterans would complement the Big Three perfectly. The shooting might take a small hit without Reaves, but the overall talent level and two-way impact would increase dramatically. Plus, the Lakers have shown they can develop talent and find value in unexpected places, whether through the draft, trades, or free agency signings that fly under the radar. Let's talk about the timeline and urgency behind making this kind of move. LeBron James isn't getting any younger, and while he remains elite, we have to acknowledge that his championship window is closing. Every season that passes without maximizing our chances is a lost opportunity that we can't get back. Luka is young enough to be our cornerstone for the next decade, but he came to Los Angeles to win championships now, not to rebuild or develop slowly. Adding Giannis would capitalize on LeBron's remaining elite years while building a foundation that could sustain success well beyond his retirement. The timing also matters from Milwaukee's perspective. The Bucks are clearly not contending this season, and Giannis is 30 years old, entering the back end of his prime. If they believe he's going to request a trade eventually anyway, moving him now while his value is still at its peak makes strategic sense. Waiting until he's older or until his frustration becomes public drama would only decrease the return they could receive. Smart organizations act proactively rather than reactively, and Milwaukee might recognize that this is the right time to pivot toward a rebuild centered around the significant assets they'd receive for Giannis. There's also the competitive landscape of the Western Conference to consider. The Nuggets remain formidable, with Nikola Jokic orchestrating their offense. The Warriors have retooled and remain dangerous. The Mavericks, Suns, and Timberwolves all have championship aspirations. Standing pat with our current roster might be enough to compete, but acquiring Giannis would definitively establish us as the favorites. That kind of move creates separation between you and your competition, making the path to a championship significantly clearer. I want to address the skepticism that some fans might feel about this actually happening. Yes, trades of this magnitude are rare. Yes, the logistics are complicated. Yes, giving up Reeves would be painful. But I genuinely believe that if the Lakers can make this work, they absolutely should pull the trigger. You don't win championships by being conservative. You win by being aggressive when opportunities present themselves. This is one of those opportunities, and it might not come around again. The excitement I feel about this possibility is genuine because it represents everything Lakers basketball should be about. Bold moves, superstar talent, championship expectations, these are the hallmarks of our franchise's greatest eras. Imagine Giannis running the floor with LeBron in transition, finishing alley-oops from Luka, protecting the rim alongside Ayton, dominating playoff series in ways that make us unstoppable. That's not fantasy. That's a realistic outcome if this trade happens, and everything I've shared with you today suggests it's far more possible than people realize. The coming weeks and months will be absolutely critical in determining whether this becomes reality. Trade discussions can accelerate quickly once teams start seriously negotiating, or they can stall indefinitely if the price points don't align. Milwaukee will explore all their options, Giannis will consider his preferences, and the Lakers will evaluate whether they're willing to pay the cost required to land him. But based on everything we know, the interest is real, the possibility exists, and the potential payoff would be absolutely transformative for this franchise. Before we wrap this up, I need to hear your thoughts on this entire situation. Would you trade Austin Reeves and whatever else is necessary to bring Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Lakers? Do you believe this trade is actually feasible, or are there obstacles I'm not fully considering? How would you feel about a big three of LeBron, Luka, and Giannis competing for championships together? This is a massive decision that would shape our franchise for years, and I value your perspective as passionate Lakers fans who understand what it takes to win at the highest level. Drop your detailed thoughts in the comments below because I read every single one and this conversation matters. If this breakdown gave you insight into what might be the biggest trade possibility in recent Lakers history, make sure you're subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report and have that notification bell activated. I'm bringing you updates the moment any developments happen with Giannis, plus daily content on every roster move, coaching decision, and strategic choice impacting our championship pursuit. This is where you get analysis that goes beyond surface-level reporting, where we examine the real factors that determine whether the Lakers can bring another championship home. Hit that like button, share this video with every Lakers fan you know, and let's keep this incredible discussion going. Stay locked in, because the next few months could change everything. Let's go, Lakers!